was tried again, tax evasion, beat the case. He beat 2 cases, but he was dragged out of his house early in the morning by FBI agents. And it would have never happened unless he shook a tree that he should never shook, and shook a beehive he should have never shaken. That's how they felt.
The thing that I'm wondering about while you're talking through all this, though, it's great details, but we keep coming back to the Cuba thing and that angle, and we're mostly mentioning either mobsters or people that were involved with the United States government. But where are some of the Cuban revolutionaries in the middle of this, and who are they reporting to? The biggest
guy that I could place at the center of it, there's actually 2 we could go to, but Sergio Arcacha Smith. Sergio Arcacha Smith. So let's go back first. Pepe San Roman was the head of the guy who was like on the beaches with the Bay of Pigs, and he's mad. He's a guy, and they come out of this all mad. A lot of the militant ones who were trained by the CIA, they're pissed. Mm-hmm. But there's a guy, Sergio Arcacha Smith, who's out of New Orleans at one point, but he's been floating around. But he's out of New Orleans for the most part, and he was sort of the head of this CIA organization that wanted to sort of like an umbrella group that would keep all of the various Cuban exile groups in one sort of like in one pot. Like you have all of these Cuban exile groups springing up that concerns the CIA. They want to be able to control them and have a handle on them. And through Sergio Arcacha Smith, he's sort of the boss of this umbrella group that contains all of the other militant Cuban exile groups that want Cuba back. And he's trying to like keep them in one basket for his own reasons and for the CIA. So now, at some point or another, when they're defunded and Sergio Arcacha Smith is out of government money because of the Kennedy administration kind of said, that's it, we're not going to back this anymore, and they were left out there, Arcacha Smith suddenly befriends David Ferry, and David Ferry is suddenly walking around. David Ferry was always known to have no money. He was a broken down valise. He lost his job with a major airline, and now he's kind of like down and out. Yeah. And all of a sudden he's walking around with crisp $100 bills. And somebody said that they believed he's starting to feed money to Sergio Arcacha Smith as well, and funding the exiles, David Ferry is. And they believe that the crisp $100 bills are coming from Marcelo, going to Ferry, and over to Sergio Arcacha Smith. So that's sort of like one of the main conspirators. Now, later on, during the Jim Garrison case, when Jim Garrison goes after David Ferry and refuses to connect Ferry to Marcelo because it later came out that he was in Marcelo's pocket, Jim Garrison, he goes after Ferry, and Ferry says, I'm a dead man. The second you come after me, I'm a dead man. So now there's something interesting going on that Oliver Stone curiously left out of his movie.
Yeah, how do we know that Garrison was in Marcelo's pocket?
Well, Garrison was tried twice, and the government went after Garrison, and they only went after him because he stepped out of line by going after the government. So Garrison decides he's going to blame it on the CIA, and he's looking at Ferry, eventually turns to Clay Shaw. But originally, when he's going after the government and saying there's a conspiracy here, and it goes to the CIA, rogue agents of the CIA, the government all of a sudden sends people down there to look into what Garrison's looking into, but not with the intention of finding out what Garrison finds out, but with the intention of smearing Garrison. So then all of a sudden they go to their media contacts, the CIA does, and there's all of a sudden these hit pieces coming out on Garrison and his connection to the mob. And all of a sudden it gets dug up. Now, they would never even know it was probably true that Garrison was overlooking. He liked Marcelo. He said he's a good guy. He was seen going to dinner with Marcelo's brothers. He dismissed a lot of mob cases. There was an incident where a mobster had a heart attack in his house during a mob/campaign meeting for the mob, politics. So it came out. And so later on—
That wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, and later on they accused Garrison of taking money under the table from the mob. Garrison beat the case, was tried again, tax evasion, beat the case. He beat 2 cases, but he was dragged out of his house early in the morning by FBI agents, and it would have never happened unless he shook a tree that he should never shook, and shook a beehive he should have never shaken. That's how they felt, the government. So the government went after him. But, however, the government had a lot to find when they started looking. So Garrison definitely Marcelo owned the whole state machinery. Don't forget that. So Garrison's part of that machinery. He's the prosecutor, governor, mayor. He's got them all. So, and when asked, Santo Traficante's attorney goes to visit Marcello at one point after Garrison opens up the investigation into the Kennedy assassination. This is a few years after it happened. And he says, look, are you worried? The attorney knows that his client's Trafficante's involved somehow, and Marcello. And he goes, look, are you concerned about this? And he goes, nothing to worry about. He's my man. And he goes, really? And he goes, he looked like the cat that ate the canary. He goes, he was like absolutely smug about it. He goes, nothing to worry about. He's my man. So now I wondered, was Carlos Marcello so confident that Garrison not only wouldn't look at him, but did Carlos Marcello, when the nation was starting to demand answers and people were starting to talk about, did the mafia do it? Did Carlos Marcello, one better, maybe put Garrison up to leading the scent away from him, away from Marcello? Not for sure, but you can't rule it out as a slim possibility. Slim possibility, maybe. So Garrison now, another person, when you asked about the Cubans, there's a guy who's connected to Santo Trafficante in Florida.
A Cuban?
A Cuban. His name is Eladio Del Val.
Eladio. Yeah. He ends up dead.
Well, Garrison goes looking for him and finds him in a shopping center in Miami with an axe wound in the center of his skull and a bullet wound in his heart. Yeah, and they tortured him. Yeah. So now Ferry first goes, I'm a dead man. So they put Ferry in protective custody. And you mentioned the Fontainebleau in Miami where they met with the CIA, but there was another Fontainebleau in Louisiana. New Orleans. So they put him up in there and they're protecting him, Garrison's guys. But now Garrison wrote a couple of books about the assassination, and I can't find anywhere where Garrison just kind of jumps from Ferry asked for protective custody, Ferry was found dead in his house. I'm like, whoa. Let me go back a few pages and read this again. I must have missed something. So I go back and read it again. Ferry asked for protective custody. Ferry was found dead in his house. I'm like, Garrison's leaving a big piece of the picture out, and I'm not sure why. So I picked up Garrison's other book, read it cover to cover, and I'm like, Ferry was asked for protection. We provided it. Ferry was found dead at his house. I'm going, oh, he's doing the same shit again. Why is Garrison hiding what happened between Ferry wants protection and Ferry is found dead at his house? So then I dig deeper in other sources, out-of-print books, archives, newspapers. What happened was Ferry says, I'm a dead man. I need protection against unknown people. He doesn't state who he needs protection against, so we're told. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. He gets put into the Fontainebleau. Somebody's watching him there. That guy switches. His shift is done. He wants to go home to his family. Another guy comes in. But then that guy who comes in to watch Ferry at the Fontainebleau runs out for cigarettes. And Ferry all of a sudden goes home. So either there's something strange happening. One is, why do they leave Ferry alone even for a minute? Why didn't you run out for cigarettes? Why didn't you come with cigarettes? Or why didn't you tell the other guy, do me a favor, grab me a pack before you leave, or give me another 10 minutes, I'm going out for a pack. Somehow, somewhere, you can't leave Ferry alone. Yeah. Now, does Ferry think when they leave him alone, are they setting me up? The Fontainebleau in New Orleans was built with Teamster funds, and Santo Trafficante, whenever he visited Marcello, would stay there. It's a mob hangout, and mob may be backed. So now he's going, okay, maybe they left me for a reason. So he gets spooked and goes home. Garrison left all this out. He goes home, and now he's found dead at his house. But it's a little weird that he's found dead because they said, well, he left 2 suicide notes and he committed suicide because there's 2 suicide notes. But it was an embolism in his neck. So how is it an embolism or his brain, his neck? Wait a second. Did he kill himself? Usually people before they commit, they know an embolism is coming.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
You can feel it.
Right. You could feel it coming. And then you start to maybe run around the house and get your blood pressure up a little more and then write 2 suicide notes really quick.
That's exactly
so the whole thing's really strange. Right. So Ferry gets clipped, I think. Ferry is found dead, let's say. We don't know.
He was clipped.
Let's say, yeah. He's gone in New Orleans. Eladio Del Val's gone in Miami. Del Val was connected to Trafficante. Ferry's connected to Marcello. It's a little odd that they go right away together as soon as Garrison opens up the investigation. So then Blakey asked a really important question.
Robert
Blakey says, hey, look, and this other guy, Noyes, a reporter, they both asked these questions at the time. They go, it's really odd that Garrison links Ferry to the conspiracy and Eladio Del Val, but can't see past that. He doesn't see that Ferry's always with Marcello. And also, too, when they went into Ferry's house, they find records that after Ferry was working for Marcello during the trial, long after, Marcello buys him a gas station. Why would Marcello buy Ferry a gas station? And
he's a really nice guy.
Exactly. So they said, well, the people who try to dismiss it go, well, he worked for him during the trial. He got paid during the trial. And you don't buy somebody who works for you.
Yes, you do.
Exactly.
If you pay them during the trial, it is custom in American customs that you buy them a gas station right afterwards.
And
that's how it works.
And I had a number of trials I've been through, and anybody who helped me, I bought them gas stations.
Yeah, you bought them a gas station.
I always
That's
did.
right.
I bought one guy a Mobil, another guy an Exxon.
100%.
Yeah. So it happens.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.